and welcome to the Bridetender podcast. I'm your host, Esty Levin, and I'm here to tend to the brides like I tend to the bar. So mix yourself a cocktail and let's get ready to discuss all things weddings. Today, I'm super excited to be recording with Sara Margulis from Honeyfund, and we're going to talk about all things honeymoon planning, why it's a thing to do, why it's just a great resource for all couples who are currently in the midst of planning their big day, and how it can really help you kind of have the honeymoon of your dreams. So, Sara, first of all, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Esty. It's so great to be here. I'm excited for our chat.
So first and foremost, we got to mention that you were on Shark Tank, which is like the dream, right? And like you have this everybody dreams of having something that they can go on Shark Tank for and really be like seen for it. And as somebody who's been in the wedding industry my entire life, I think we see, especially in today's generation, that people don't maybe need the registry of all the stuff because a lot of people have lived together prior to getting engaged, or they've lived on their own prior to getting engaged. So they have things such as their pots, their pans, their linens, all of those things. And they want to go on a honeymoon, and as we all know, it's very expensive. So tell us, how Honeyfund came to be, like how you got on Shark Tank, like the whole thing.
Okay. Yeah. Well, first of all, you summed it up perfectly. I mean, when I was planning my own wedding in 2004, 5, we already had all the stuff. We just didn't, we didn't have like our forever home yet, so we weren't trying to furnish that. And we really needed a vacation. We were both burned out at work, and we really needed a vacation. And we just thought, like, where's the farthest, most exotic sounding place we can go? So we came up with Fiji.
Awesome.
And not even realizing it's like halfway across the globe, and it's expensive to get there. But we were like all in on Fiji. So we paid for our own wedding. There wasn't a lot of money left over for this budget, with this honeymoon budget. And so we just came up with a makeshift honey fund. My ex-husband's a software engineer. He knew how to, build it. And we invited our friends and family to contribute. And they floored us with more than $5,000 toward our dream honeymoon. And we went to Fiji, and it was beautiful and amazing and everything we wanted it to be. So that was like, we felt like we really had something that other couples needed. And our friends and family were really enthusiastic, like more than just, oh, this was so fun to give to your thing. They were like, you guys should make this for other couples. So that's how we got started with Honeyfund.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great idea. I know back when my cousin was getting married, which is about, I want to say probably like 8-9 years ago, they like had been living together prior to getting engaged, or like, we really don't need, any stuff. And they actually did honey funds because they were like, we want to go. They wanted to go, also like somewhere very exotic and like have like an awesome trip. And it makes sense. And it definitely makes sense in today's times because people have all the stuff. They have it already.
And you can get it so cheap, like if you need a new blender, you can run down to Target and get one for $40. It's like, there's not a lot that's, it's like a big ticket gift anymore. But the honeymoon, couples are spending after COVID almost $5,000 on their dream honeymoons on average.
Yeah.
They're going farther, they're going more exotic.
They're longer.
Yeah, longer trips. Some couples are even kind of delaying when they go just so that they can get more time off from work to go on a longer trip. So we're seeing a lot of those trends picking up. And yeah, I mean, you asked about Shark Tank, somebody on the crew had used the site to give a gift, just kind of like your cousin story, and referred us to casting. And it was season 6. They were looking for more established brands to come on and get bigger deals from the sharks. And so they invited us to apply. And I am like not a reality TV person. I just was like skeptical, but when I found out what the show does for companies and entrepreneurs, I was like, oh, yeah, we can't pass this up. So we got on and we made a deal with Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, and that was 10 years ago this year.
Wow. I mean, that must have been an awesome experience. I'm sure, like, very scary. Uh,
Very, very scary. Like I've given birth 2 times with no drugs, and I was more like freaked out and then, in the Shark Tank than I was.
I understand. I really do because I watch the show from time to time and just seeing like, even when they like are turning somebody down, I'm like, "Oh God, I don't know if I could take it." The rejection.
Yeah. I know, and like you're going in there, and you're like, anything could happen. I mean, they literally are throwing you to the sharks, and they're constantly like throwing questions at you. You have to have memorized every stat about your business. We had
Oh my
a
God.
stack of flashcards this thick. We spent a whole day just like memorizing, 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 and then you're on the spot. There's cameras. There's people behind the scenes, and it's really like a do or die moment. You're like, cannot fail moment, and somehow we pulled it off.
No, that's awesome. Listen, to have that behind you, like backing you, I mean, it speaks volumes about the business.
Thank you.
And then this, I mean, obviously I'm in the wedding industry, so when I see or hear of anything that's really different and unique, I'm like, I need to know more about it because this is something, kind of just like I said, like today's generation, it's what makes sense in terms of like the registry. Like
Yeah.
we can't go with just a typical registry anymore. It used to be people put on there the most expensive items that they wanted because they felt like they should have, the fine china for their kitchen that they're truly never going to use. Like
The KitchenAid
the
mixer.
KitchenAid mixer. Yeah, that's like the number one. It's like 400 and something dollars, everybody. But I just really want to know, like, how many times are you using that? Like,
Right,
it's almost
right,
like a fixture in the kitchen opposed to being used. And I
right.
think travel is memories that like you're never going to like experience again, like that
Yeah.
same memory. So to be able to have the trip that you can go on and not have to worry about like upfronting all of the money yourself is huge.
Yeah. It is huge, and it's actually bigger than we ever realized. We did some research a couple years ago. We researched just average Americans, 1,000 average Americans, to find out, like, they married, how long have they been married, how much did they spend on their wedding, did they go on a honeymoon? We asked all these questions, and we found out that couples who took a honeymoon are more likely to be happily married more than a decade later than couples who didn't take a honeymoon. And I was like, what? Like, we always knew that Honeyfund was cool and we were doing something great, but we didn't know like quite how valuable that honeymoon is to couples. And so now it's our mission to make honeymoon happen for all couples. Like, even if they don't use Honeyfund, like we're looking at ways to like reach people and make sure they know about the importance of a honeymoon. We launched
Right.
National Honeymoon Day. We're doing all this PR. We're like, this is so, and then the ongoing romance travel too, so good for your relationship, like
Totally.
keeping you in that mind state, refreshing your memories of that honeymoon, like, getting out of the day-to-day stress. It's all so important for the long-term happiness of your marriage.
Yeah, I mean, and especially now, I mean, like you had mentioned before, a lot of people are like pushing back their honeymoons. Like they're not going right after the wedding, which I will say, I got married about 2.5 years ago, and we were supposed to go on our honeymoon like 2 days after our wedding, but because of COVID and everything, we had to postpone it 3 months. And then it
Yeah.
gave us something so much to look forward to. And then when we went, we were like, oh my God, thank God we did this. And like, and I almost like used to always tell every couple I worked with, like, go on the honeymoon like right after because it's like part of the experience. But now, like seeing like I went 3 months later, like it was like it gave me that something to like look forward to.
Absolutely. And, decompressing after the stress of, getting to the wedding day, the whirlwind of the wedding day,
Yeah.
some couples are just not ready to go like really soak in their honeymoon vibes at that moment, right? They need to just chill out for a little bit before they go. Some couples just want to get straight to the beach just to like, decompress, which I also get.
I,
So it's just really about like what's right for the two of you. Just like any other wedding decision you make, what's right for the two of you. Don't, forget about tradition or like what everybody else wants. Like you really got to be able to like say, all right, this is the choice that we're going to make.
Now, when somebody is going to sign up for something like this, like what does that look like that they should expect?
Yeah, so you just download the Honeyfund app or come onto our website, sign up for an account. It's totally free. We'll give you some starter ideas for what to put on your Honeyfund registry. You can choose a design. Our designers are incredible. Our design themes are like totally unique. We have some really fun ones for couples who are into like, Harry Potter or like Star Wars or, Comic-Con type stuff. Like we're here for all the couples. And then you just share it out to your friends and family. The money goes into your Honeyfund wallet. It sits there for whenever you're ready to use it. You can cash it out to PayPal, Venmo, or if you prefer to have the gifts go straight to your bank account, we have that option too for a small
That's
fee.
great. Yeah.
And but the wallet is free. There's no charges to givers. They can do an optional donation to the platform when they're checking out. It just supports our mission to get all the honeymoons happening. But we really tried to make it fee-free and easy to use because there's so much stress that goes into your wedding planning anyway. It's like you need one thing to be easy.
100%. And the vacation part should be the easy part because you're like,
Yeah.
that's the part that you look forward to the most.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So speaking of, we're actually right now taking all of our honeymoon data of over 18 years out of our database, doing some analysis, wiring it up to like a ChatGPT type interface, and being able to start offering travel planning tips and other honeymooners insights to our user experience. So when you sign up, you're not just getting a honey fund, but you're getting a travel itinerary and then of course like exclusive links through all of our travel partnerships.
So people can go on there and like basically like guests who are purchasing for them, they can donate money that goes directly like to their trip, but they could also buy them things such as like excursions and like certain experiences that they want.
Yep, exactly. So some couples will create a wish list with like all the specifics that they're doing, which we recommend because it's just more fun for guests to shop. Like, oh, I want to give you this dinner on the beach, or I want to pay for this, sightseeing tour of Paris or whatever. But some couples just leave it open-ended, like just contribute to our honeymoon, Either way, the money just goes into your wallet and you're able to withdraw it and spend it on your trip. So the guest doesn't have to worry about buying a specific thing on a specific day or any of those logistics. It's just flexible with the money going into your wallet.
That's awesome. I really would love to get your feedback on where do you see a lot of people are heading right now on their honeymoon?
Okay, I love this topic because everything changed after COVID. So before COVID, our number one honeymoon destination for all the years was Hawaii, and just an amazing, beautiful US dollar, no passport required, great honeymoon. And then the South Pacific, right? Why not? After COVID, we saw Italy became like really popular in 22, 23 as they reopened. I think the show White Lotus was like, kind of like showing people how beautiful Italy is and romantic. And then this year, we're seeing this huge surge in Asia, like Thailand, Japan.
Oh, wow.
Again, I think just people are like, where can I go that just is new and different for me? Like I've seen everyone's trips to Italy. I've seen everyone's trips to Hawaii. I've seen all the trips to the Caribbean. Like I just want to do something totally different. And so that's why we're seeing people go farther.
Yeah. I mean, I have been seeing so many couples who are either getting married or honeymooning in either Italy or Greece. Like every single time I open up like Instagram or anything, like everybody's in Italy or Greece.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I really think I did this summer wrong. Right. I'm like, one day I'll get there. I'll get there.
You absolutely will. And life is short, like again, like the investment in your marriage will pay you back in spades. Taking those vacations, it's almost like people say like self-care isn't really an option. It's like a must do. It's non-negotiable. You've got to like, fill your own bucket before you can like pour into other people.
Yeah.
It's the same with I really believe it's the same with vacations and marriage. Like you have to take time away. You have to take time to just decompress and be romantic and like remember why you fell in love with this person when they're really bothering you about the dishwasher.
It's true. Yeah, we like to kind of have a bigger trip planned every year, and we really do like to do it around our anniversary because we live in New York. So New York in the winter, and we got married in the beginning of February, is kind of miserable. So it's a perfect opportunity to get away for our anniversary and be somewhere warm and nice, and that's what we try to
That's
do.
really smart. That's really smart.
Yeah, so I think that this is like an awesome idea. I also just love to see like women in business. Obviously in the wedding world you see a lot more women than men in business, but when it comes down to also you have like it's tech, which is, I mean, as we all know, and we know with me starting this podcast today, that tech is very difficult.
It can be. Sure can be.
So I give you a lot of credit. This is a really awesome platform for couples. And is there anything else that you could share with us that's like in the works, or any like, I don't know, any little secrets or anything we should like look out for?
Yeah, for sure. So I mentioned that Honeyfund is, really here about the happily ever after, which means that we're now looking into ways that couples can use the site for anniversary gifts, baby moons, other types of like romantic travel opportunities, as well as just, life events, milestone birthdays, or even like, hey, we had this hardship happen to us, and the friends and family are already there on your Honeyfund platform. They've already used it. They already know that it's a safe way to give you money. So that's sort of like our lifelong funding initiative. And then we're going to be at Wedding MBA this November. I don't know if any of your listeners go to that show, but we're going to be really loving on our wedding vendor friends there. We're going to have a huge booth with a chance to win an all-inclusive Mexico vacation. And you can sign up for our affiliate program to earn like $10 to $20 referral fees for
That's
referring
awesome.
your clients to Honeyfund. So, and then I'm doing a main stage talk about how Honeyfund uses AI to help, basically just do more with a small team of people. And I'll be talking about our annual National Honeymoon Day campaign and how we used AI to kind of just knock that out in, maybe a quarter of the hours it would have taken us last year using ChatGPT and other AI tools. So I'm really excited to connect with the industry and kind of share as a female tech CEO, how do you grow your business smarter and reach customers more easily?
AI is truly like the future. I feel like I definitely don't know it as well or as much as I should. And that's like my goal of like 2025, because it really is not only the wave of the future, but especially in the wedding industry, like you need to like be fully up on AI 100%. So the fact that you've really already like tapped into that, and Wedding MBA will be a great opportunity for like you to showcase this. I know a bunch of vendors who listen to the podcast who will be attending. So I'm sure that they'll come see you. And if you are listening, then you have to go see Sara and learn more about Honeyfund. I've been there in the past. I actually love that expo. I tell everybody to go. I am not going this year just because I will be closer to the end of my pregnancy, so I can't fly.
Oh, Mazel Tov, that's so
Thank
exciting.
you. But there's always next year. Yeah, my husband signed for the trip to Vegas, so he feels cheated this time around.
It's a good trip. I try to get there at least once a year, and it's an amazing show. It's, I think for vendors, it's a way to just connect with each other, to learn tips and tricks. And then all of that goodness comes back down to our bridal audience that's listening. Like
Absolutely.
you're gonna get so much from the vendors who attend that show. And one of the things that we're really hoping that everyone understands is that, you know, a honey fund can just take the edge off a wedding budget for a lot of couples. Like they're,
Absolutely.
you know, having to figure out how do we, you know, plan a $25,000, $30,000 wedding, you know, which is kind of, you know, typical prices.
Hmm.
Um, and figure out the honeymoon. More and more, we have couples that are actually registering for some of the costs of their wedding on their honey fund. We launched that functionality
Oh,
during COVID
wow.
because it was just hard to make anything happen during COVID. And,
Yeah.
you know, so like, you know, the bar tab or the officiant or the flowers or whatever, you can just put those right in your honey fund. And, you know, your friends and family that are already going to pitch into your wedding, it's a great way to kind of say, like, hey, these are some things we're looking for help on. You know, here's check out our honey fund. It's just an easier conversation than like sitting them down and saying, hey, how much are you giving us, right? Like, so we find couples will use that just to kind of facilitate that conversation. It also makes it easier, like if people are in your family are pitching in for like this or that, you know, thing, it makes it less of like, well, I've paid for your wedding, so you have to do things my way, which that conversation can get a little tricky too.
Yes, that ends up being a big conversation. I'm sure worldwide, but here in New York, that's a major one
Oh
over
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah, big time. So yeah, so we let you know, Honey Fund is we're all about the honeymoon, we're all about the happily ever after, but our platform is useful in a lot of different ways. And I would say if
Yeah.
you haven't checked it out, just create a free account, go look at all the cool functionality we have. We have, you know, itineraries you can add to your honey fund. We have a blog that has tons of insightful information about planning a wedding, all of the tricky conversations you have, the etiquette of asking for money, like all of those things are covered. And, you know, our team is also always here to help answer any questions at help@honeyfund.com.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Sarah, I really appreciate you taking the time to go over all of this with me, with all the listeners. I think that obviously this is already like huge in today's times, but I think it's only going to get bigger and bigger in the market that we're in. So
Yeah,
it's
great.
it's a no-brainer, everyone. Like if you're getting married and you want to take a honeymoon, like now is the time. Go sign up on honeyfund.com. See how they can like best help you with this, and like tell your people that this is the gifts that you want. Like, oh, you know what? We don't need anything. If you want to get me anything, just donate to my honey fund. Like, perfect.
Love it.
Go on
Love
the
it. Yeah.
vacation of your dreams.
Yeah, and a lot of couples get sucked into kind of the big wedding sites and all their registry options and all the store registries and everything, and it seems like, oh, this is great, it's all in one place, but then they'll tack on some honeymoon gifts, and really people just don't give to that.
Yeah.
So if you really are about the honeymoon or you really need some extra cash for your overall budget, having a standalone honey fund is the way to go.
There's also a lot of like mix-ups with registries where you end up getting the same gift multiple
Yes.
times and then you're
Yeah.
returning things regardless. It's, you know what? You didn't even need it once, let alone twice. So so go on vacation.
You got it.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for your time today. Everybody, if you're not already following, go follow Sarah's company, Honeyfund, at Honeyfund on Instagram. See how you can work with them for your special day. Get some inspiration for your honeymoon. See where you want to go. You know, Greece, Italy, Fiji, they all sound pretty good to me right now. If you are not already following me on Instagram, please go follow me at the Bridetender for all fun facts on the wedding industry, ways to save money on your special day, and of course, hiring the best in the business and working with the best in the business like Honeyfund for your wedding.
Awesome.
Until next week, mix yourself a cocktail, slide into my DMs with questions you want answered on all things weddings. Stay sane, stay healthy, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.